Okay, so first off, I liked the show. I loved it. It's really freaking good. I love this season definitely. I'm gonna spoil some shit. So I'm telling you all this now. That way, you know, if you want to go see it, go see it. I'm 100% recommendation. I love this show from beginning to end. This show literally had me do the Will Smith. No!
What the hell are you? No! No! No!
No! like I was. I got so wrapped up in this show near the end, because if you've seen this season, you'll know where I think you will know where I'm talking about, because there's a scene there and I'm like, no, I refuse. No, you don't get to do this to me. No, you don't get to do this to. So go check it out. This is a show, like Centaur World again. This is a show that when I first saw it, when the first season came out, I looked at like some clips of it, and it showed like very cartoony looking characters, stuff like that. And I don't know, for me, if it's very cartoony and colorful, it depends. Because if it's, I don't know what it is, but like something like Centaur World's thing, or even like I would say Adventure, even though I love Adventure Time, this very much has that Adventure Time kind of style to it. And I won't lie, like sometimes I went into Adventure Time, even watch it when I did like the show, when I really loved the show, in the original, when it was first running, like I would go into it kind of going like, oh right, this art style. I'm like, I know the stories are cool, and like eventually stuff happened. I think now I've grown more to really enjoy the style of the show. Does not say that I still don't prefer other animations. Like, for example, I love this show for multiple reasons. One, Centaur World looks like freaking Adventure Time when the human world looks like 2011 Thundercats. Like, it's, and like, or I don't, also another thing about the show. I don't know who this is aimed for, age-wise, because there's some stuff in this that I'm looking at, and I'm just like, is this for kids? I feel like it's bordering on the line of not being for kids. Like, honestly, like, there's a show, there's like, Infinity Train. I love Infinity Train. That's a really good show. Go watch it, especially, the third season. That show, it gets pretty dark. It gets pretty dark, but very much at the end, like, you see someone die, like, horribly. Like, there's probably dark stuff sprinkled throughout of it. This show, especially towards, like, the last few episodes, gets extremely dark. And then also, like, not only just story-wise also, but kind of imagery. But then also on top of that, like, you have stuff like a character saying, we can go get Virgin Bloody Marys. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? Wait. You just brought up alcohol, but then like say you get a virgin, but you still brought, what? Or a point where a guy flies off because little miniature parts of him are biting onto his nipples and spinning around so he can fly like a helicopter into the sunset. God, this show makes me feel nuts. Hell, I'll let Ryder explain it.
You and that horse that just left him high and dry? Yeah, that's not my horse. My horse is a warrior, and she is in Centaur World right now, raising an army. Your horse is raising an army? I know, it sounds weird, a horse raising an army, right? But she can talk now, so that should make it a lot easier for her to...
What's a centaur?
Oh, they're these half-animal, half-man things. And they can shoot tiny versions of themselves out of their hooves.
This girl looks insane. But yeah, so this show, I love this show. Like, like, I will say, like, towards the end, this does feel like a show that was, it was wrapping itself up, but it also didn't it probably did not entirely plan out its, I don't think it entirely planned out its story from the beginning. I think they really, like, season 1 happened. They did a season 1, like, we don't know if we're getting a season 2. And they're like, oh shit, we're getting a season 2. We gotta tie this all up. There are some bits in there that I'm kind of like, okay, I kind of can feel that a little bit. But even then, I still love this one. Like, there's a thing with the shamans, but, like, the shamans barely appear in this one. You have stuff with when we find out about the origins of the Nowhere King, and which I guess a lot of you can infer. Not everything is told straight out to you, but it is done really well. Like, this season basically is. I forgot a few things when we were watching this. Like, I forgot the portals were just open. Like, I didn't know, like, that was just a thing. I also did not know. I also forgot that horse's tail could talk. And it really doesn't do that again until, like, the last episode. Like, I completely forgot that was a thing. And, okay, but anyways, this season basically was Horse and the Herd trying to rally Centaur World to their cause so they could fight against the Nowhere King. While in the human world, Ryder is trying to get the general to basically help, which he kind of comes immediately. She first thinks, oh, you're a stable boy. And like, oh, you'll become better one day or something like that. But the dude looks older than her for one. And he goes, yeah, I'm the general. She's like, oh shit. And like, yeah, don't worry about it. I guess they did answer this question because, like, first off, a few things. One, basically, Horse is going through Centaur World trying to rally the troops. She's kind of bad at it, and, like, every, like, group, I want to say, because there's not just, oh, these are the cat tars, these are this tars, these are that tars. It's more like a group of, like, oh, these are the whole tars, these are the ice tars, and it's like, a killer whale tar, a walrus tar, whatever tar, all together. Then you have the bird tars, which I want to say about that. I want to talk about that episode in a minute. But the bird tars, and it's like, okay, and then, like, it's a bunch of things, and it like, instead of just being like single ones, it's kind of grouped together. And the herd is, it's like basically like kind of like, I guess, how they were kind of very separate in the first season, and then this one, like, kind of how the herd is all together, like this herd that makes up all these different people put together. It's kind of like that. Like, we also got backstory on different characters, except Zulius. Zulius is the only one we never got backstory on, and we never will, because this is the final season. This is the end of Centaur World. I'm like, I feel like you could have given us one more season, at least end it off on 3. I feel like you could have done that. I haven't get it. 2. But yeah, and then, like, at least kind of watch it, like, you kind of got a bit of, like, Ryder, like, kind of looks up to the general. I'm like, all right, that's cool. She also gets, she doesn't get anywhere. The general gifts her another horse, so for her to ride, while she doesn't have, horse. And her name is, what was it? Crabapple? Something Apple. This horse. Holy shit, this horse. And I never really understood, like, this I want to talk about this horse now. This Becky Apples. Like, Becky Apples, like, at one point is, like, helping Ryder's like, okay, I need you to help me, do this. We don't know whose horse this guy, I think Gary's, they said, but I think we find out towards the end it's probably not Gary's, because this horse, like, has a body count. A body count that is so large, the general knows about it and marks it on her saddle. I'm looking at that like, what? And like this horse starts killing minotaurs left and right, like appears different places, will kill a minotaur and slowly slink back into the darkness. This horse never talks. As far as we know, this is a regular horse, and we have no. And I'm like, what the hell is this horse's deal? At one point, it finds a random wig and eats it. I'm like, what? What? I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. And then, like, there are a lot of, like, there's also a few loose ends, too. But I'll bring it up in a minute. But yeah, it's really weird. Like, really weird. Like, wow. Like, oh, shit. Like, and then, like, towards the end, you find out, I don't know, it's never straight said. But at one point, you see the witch riding the horse, the witch from the first season, which the human witch, and you're like, and I'm like that, I'm like, okay, that makes 100% sense, assuming that's her, like 100% sense. Assuming that's probably her horse, I'm like, okay, I think that makes sense now. I think that does make sense. But basically, like, and then also like, I want to say this right now, like, because again, I'm on Twitter, I see shit from every side of the internet. There's some bits where it's like, oh, horse and rider in love. I'm like, I don't think so. I would hope not. But then there's a bit where like we're comfortable Doug because apparently he can dig through universes. Okay. He's like, oh yeah, Ryder and his new unheard. That's probably a terrible accent. And a new horse, something Crabapple and Becky Crabapple, and horse is like, what? And it's very much treated like a relationship, like Ryder was cheating on her, and I'm like, you're not helping this. You're not helping this, especially with like, I think it's episode 2 where you find the bird tars, where the bird tars are a fandom of the herd and has been watching them like a TV show. And I don't know if you guys know. I learned this from I think Zaboomafoo. I can't remember which one. Or maybe it was Zaboom. I can't remember. Basically, they watch, like, they're in their sky house, their sky mountain or whatever, and they look down through a giant hole and see everything, and their eyes kind of open up and it kind of like zooms in. And well, they don't show it on the show, but like their eyes zoom up and they can see everything. And it's because birds like hawks and stuff like that actually have binocular vision to see like mice and stuff running across the ground, so they find them and eat them. Fun fact. So I guess that I was like, okay, that makes sense. But they're very much a fandom, and it's very much a joke on like fandom culture. Like people like, I'm obsessed with this show, and I'm looking at them like, ooh, like, oh yeah, we're obsessed with your show. Like we tweet about it, we make the YouTube videos about the show. That would hit a little home. I'm like, buy merch, whether it be official or not. Yeah, honestly, I'm like, man, I never felt this more called out than than the Has-Been Hotel when they talked to Luna. He was like, those freaks, and I look at the camera and it's like, hey, no, don't look at me like that. And they're like, no, stop it. God damn it. But yeah, and I hate their social media because there's stuff like the Owl House where you'll it's not helping that case. Like the Owl House where like, oh, you know, we have scrolls that let us text each other and shit. And it's like, okay, all right, it's okay, it's all right. No, like you got scrolls and we text each other and shit, and it acts just like Twitter and Instagram. Okay, these guys have eggs that they tap or text, I guess, their things into. And then a baby chick with a dented head in, probably not ready to break out of the egg, crawls out, and they're pink too, and they crawl out of the egg slam into the ground, and slowly crawl their way to tell people about what was texted. I hate that so much. And also it might be a little bit of commentary on like Twitter, like people are babies sometimes and act very stupid, act like babies, I'm guessing. Maybe I'm looking too deeply into that bit, but also I was looking at this, I'm like, this is disturbing. I'm like, this is very disturbing. And it doesn't help when Comfortable Doug summons all the little mini versions of the her that they fired out throughout the season 1 and 2, and they're riding on these pink things, or these pink things like start globbing over people, and it doesn't help, and it terrifies me a little, and I'm looking, I'm like, ugh. And also there's a one point where there's an ice cream shop AU in the background, and also one of the background characters there had a shirt that said the producer on it. I'm like, that's kind of funny. But yeah, that was like, what? But it was really good. One thing I will say that I wish that they had more of was Ryder being Ryder kind of swinging around the blade and stuff, because she was bad. Mind you, honestly, she's not badass in this, because there's a point where she gets tied up. The scene I showed. There's a point where she gets tied up, and she breaks out in one of the most bad. Like, her legs are bound, her arms are bound. She does a flip, kicks a dude, knocks him out. Another girl swings a sword at her, which also this sword. Because here's the thing, a one-handed sword, I'd imagine, because I don't know, I've held swords before, especially a one-handed sword. One-handed sword will be able to wield it in one hand, easily. This girl that lives in the forest that wears Gothi's mask from Dingo Doodles, she lifts Ryder's sword to try to hit her with it, and she's like, oh, with two hands, and she gets pulled back, and Ryder flips over her, kicks the sword up, flips over her, sword flips back, cuts it, able to get around, get the sword, cut her arms free, and is able to, like, she's not going to attack these kids, but she puts the sword to them and everything, and I'm like, one, Ryder's a badass. Two, are these kids just very malnourished, or is Ryder such a badass that she's able to wield this one-handed sword that weighs the same length as a two-handed sword, weighs about the same as a two-handed sword, very easily, to the point where she's able to do flips and shit in the air. I love that. Yeah, so that was cool. And then, also, Horace finds out that she has powers, backstory powers, where she can jump into people's brains and learn their backstories, where she learned about, like, learn a little bit more about Womawink, about her learning to use magic with bubbles. Then you have, Glendale, like, Womawink, like, adopted her at one point, because, like, oh, you know, like, I'm gonna say, oh, everyone hates me, and also she might have split personality disorder, I think, because, like, at one point she talks kind of regularly, and then scenes she's talking, and then she's like, there's a voice inside me telling me to steal things, and then she talks whatever like that. That was the worst impression I think I've ever made. And then, like, but, like, and also, then there's the bird guy hates horses because they're centaurs, TM, who are human like, they're like regular centaurs, but they're kind of. But no, wait a minute, they didn't explain that. Oh my god, because, like, there's the centaur people, this cartoony world and centaur things or whatever, and, like, they're these very rich people, and then there's the queen or whatever of this place. Her grandson is this other centaur TM, but, like, he's gray. Like, she said, oh, he has the gray scale. Like, he's, like, in a black and white cartoon with, like, an aura black and white around him. I'm looking at this, I'm like, and he apparently never ages. I'm looking at him like, what? Wait, no, backstory. No, wait, I want backstory on that. Wait, no. And the show just ended now, and I'm like, wait, no, I want to know. Wait, what about that? Wait, no. Oh my god. Oh my god. No. 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 They ended it and they didn't tell me that? No. I want to know what... No. Oh god. Okay. Shit. Oh my god. That... Oh. Okay. Alright. It's okay. It's alright. Whew. Oh, and the lizard guy that had his back stat that got his that came out the last time in the last season he came out and then he got stabbed in the back by Ryder. Yeah, he's alive. And Durpleton adopts him, and he straight says, "I'm 43 years old. I'm speaking in full sentences," and eventually Centaur World affects him and turns him to baby Kermit, and he still has the knife in his back though, and he still talks exactly the same, and he accepts being adopted by Durpleton and becomes his son, and oh god, I know why Ryder made that happy face now, because I'm even my brain's like, what the fuck? What did I just say? Wait, what happened in this show? Oh god. Okay, all right. Okay. Sorry, I am. Okay, this is not fake. This show is giving me an existential crisis for a minute. Holy shit. Oh god. Okay. All right. Yeah, so he was cool. You know, I liked him more when he was still like that Ryder's World look. I've liked the Ryder's designs better. Every time they cut back to Ryder's World, I'm like, yes, I love this world. I love the design of the characters and all this stuff. And then we come back to Cartoon World, and like, this world is fun, but take me back to the other one, please. I want to see Ryder do more badass shit. Also, Ryder's smart too, because a side thing is that the Nowhere King is creating chimeras by merging like 3 animals together, or 2 animals with a Minotaur, which technically whatever, with a Minotaur, using the key to do it, to merge all these together, create chimeras to fight, and like Ryder tells the general, you know, we need to go in there, we need to get that key to stop all this, and the general's like, we threw all our best armies out there. I lost a battalion. We can't do this. And all I'm thinking, and Ryder does. Ryder is the smartest damn character, and I love her, especially because everything I say, she does in this show, or suggests to do. Like again, like she's like, oh, like, one, that was a stupid idea, sending all these people to fight this army. You should try to sneak in, a stealth approach, and she does that. There's a point towards the end where the Nowhere King and his army is coming to attack Centaur World, but Horse uses her ability to go into people's brains to see their backstory, but that freezes them up in the actual world, and that stopped all the Centaurs. And all I kept thinking is, kill the Minotaurs while they're there. Kill them now. They're standing right there. Just kill them. Just go kill them. Lop off their heads. Lop off their arms. Throw it in the fire pit. Do something. And she does it. Or she suggests to. She's like, guys, we should start killing. But then like a Chad at one point goes, wait, hold on, I need to tell Horse everything while she's in the Nowhere King while I'm sorry about. And in the lesser cartoon, they would all just wait. In this, Ryder goes, no. Or she lets him do that. Like, okay, you go do that. So, you know, you pick a rope, we pick a rope, just start lopping off heads, lopping off limbs. Like, that whole little shit that I said, yes, that. And I'm like, yes, I love that. I love this girl so damn much. I love her. This girl, I want a game. I want a Centaur World game. Not following Horse, not following the other ones, following Ryder. I want to follow Ryder. I want to play as Ryder. I want to run around using her awesome Kingdom Hearts style sword fighting of swinging the blade, and the blade kind of pulls you around and stuff. I guess that sword probably is very heavy now that I think about it. And like, like her fighting Minotaur, fighting the Nowhere, like all this. Oh my god, how cool would it be? I'm like, yes, I love this so damn much. And I'm like, I love this girl so damn much, and I even love it too when she points shit out, because it's kind of like Scratch in Molly McGee, where like one. Ryder's saying, you know, let's start killing and chopping and cutting. And one, while I'm always like, no war crimes. And I'm like, screw that! She's been living in a world of hell for how long? And she has a perfect shot to kill all these monsters? Do it! But yeah, I'm like, no, like, this girl has probably was probably born into this world fighting. And I'm like, yeah, no. And also, there's no Geneva Convention. Do war crimes! Screw that. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe this is me playing Assassin's Creed talking. If your enemy is down and if you can stealth, I say this is the same way as doing a stealth kill. It's an opening. Go for it. There is no rules in love and war. Kill. I'm just saying this in a sense of this girl knows what she had, and they're like, no. Instead, we're gonna throw them into a hole, into jail. And she goes, what did she say? I wrote it down. Oh, so I can't lop off his head. You'll just bury him alive instead. I'm like, yeah, that sounds even worse, honestly. But yeah, I'm like, oh god. There's also a funny running joke with a helicopter that there's always like that. The klepto, I can't remember her name, damn it. Glendale. That Glendale has a helicopter, and the helicopter's like always off screen. It's just always off screen. We'll never see it. And also there's a bunch of bits where like they're like, okay, we need a rock. They just have a picture of a rock, but it's like cut out, or like a big statue and everything. I'm like, did they do that in the first season? I feel like they probably did. I don't know. But it was great. I love that. Oh god, Ryder, so I can't lop off his head. The biggest thing, because I'm already running for 30 minutes right now. The biggest thing was that we got backstory on the witch, the general, and the Nowhere King, where we learn kind of their origin story. So spoilers on that, go check this out. But basically, the witch was the princess in the human world when everything was peaceful, and the gate between the worlds was connected and fine. But for whatever reason, or whatever happened, or not. But basically, and the Nowhere King was actually, because when I first saw it, you see when Horace goes into his backstory, you see the Nowhere King as a deer, and eventually later on we find out he's a centaur, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, you find out he was like an elk centaur before, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Like, does that mean like if you stay in the human world long enough, like they'll start changing too? And like, I'm thinking at that point, I'm like, wait, does that mean Horse will become like a full centaur? And like, I don't know. Actually, I don't even know if I want to spoil this. Let's just say I really enjoyed this. I don't want to spoil it, actually. Go watch it. I don't want to spoil it because at one point things happen, and I'll say this at least. There is a scene very much like the scene from Amphibia, season 2 finale, that happens. And one, maybe it's wrong because maybe it's a little bit different because what happens to Marcy, we kind of see that she's alive in the next season, at least from the end credit scene and things getting spoiled. Maybe that's slightly the difference, because there's a point where someone nearly dies, very similar fashion, and I was literally yelling no at the screen. I was like, no, you don't get to do this. You do not get to kill her. No. The Nowhere King also, I love as a villain. I love him as a villain, and I love his backstory. His backstory has a really good balance of sympathy and kind of learning who you are as well as other stuff. There's a point where I already kind of spoiled it. The princess has to make a decision to kill someone, the love of her life, and there's a point where I'm like, she's not gonna, and I'm like, oh shit, she did. I'm like, oh shit, she did. I'm like, holy shit, okay, all right. I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, oh no, there's no happy ending for him. There's no happy ending for him. Got it. There's also a point where, spoilers a little bit, Ryder's in Centaur world, and her hair turns pink and frothy and stuff like that, like the Centaur magic. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I better not see a Centaur world or Toonified Ryder. I better not, because I better not. One, you already messed with her hair, and mind you, yes, my hair is a mess, but I do love a character's hair, at least for me, and especially in TV shows and stuff like that. It's a good sign of like good character design for one, and I do like, and one, I really did love Ryder's hair. And I saw that, I'm like, she looks like Danny Sexbang now. I'm like, why? But even then, so Ryder's still a badass, and seeing her sing with the others was freaking cute and awesome. But yeah, this is a show I definitely say go watch. There's a shit ton of things that are kind of hinted at, like again, kind of like with the witch and the horse, and it's like, oh, okay, like the like that being her horse, but it's never really said. Like, oh, okay, stuff like Zulius and the tiger guy are very much gay for one, especially since Chud wants to kiss Zulius, and yeah, it's a little bit of a gay moment there. Also, Chud has an egg with a skeleton. There's stuff with Glendale having a doppelganger and a mustache, when that happens at one point, I'm like, I did not see that joke coming, and holy shit, I'm like that got me. Like, oh my god, that poor person. What was it? Shit. There is one episode that's kind of dumb. It's when they're fighting, where they get the ice tars on their side, and they left Glendale on the other side of like a lake. And I'm thinking, like, why doesn't the dude with the neck? Why doesn't Durpleton just stretch his neck over and grab her? His neck literally reaches the space in this episode. Why doesn't he just reach over and grab her? And I'm looking, I'm like, this is there's very simple solutions here, but I don't know, whatever. But yeah, like there's certain things that are kind of left open, but you can kind of infer, kind of like Adventure Time, you can kind of infer like what the future will be, or like how things kind of happen this way. Like the mole people can dig into other universes. It turns out back in the day, they used to be some of the workers on the portal before it became abandoned and sealed off. You have at one point the witch/princess's friend kind of looks like possibly Glendale's biological mother. So you can assume maybe there's some kind of connection with the portal and Glendale's tummy portal that tells her to eat things and stuff. I hope they make a comic book series. Please do. I want a comic book series that continues after the series. Please. I feel like, because like Donna Terrace has said before with the Owl House, like, you know, we can make, side comics and side stories and stuff like that. But I'm like, do you really need it? Unless, of course, you're going to leave a shit ton of things unanswered because your season 3 got shortened. But do you really need it? Like it'd be cool. Okay, yeah, eat his younger years. Yeah. But there's stuff here, it's like, okay, like, why is this guy black and gray? Like, apparently the Minotaurs attacked here at some point, so I guess that was because when the portals were open. But like, gray-scaled kid. Glendale's parents, like, it's kind of assumed Glendale possibly ate them in her hole. That sounds way worse than I meant it to sound. Her tummy hole. And yeah, like, it's like there's a few like story threads, and I'm like, you can still follow up on a lot of this shit. Like, really, you could. And I would be honestly happy about that for this show. The Owl House, I don't think there's really any storylines, at least right now, that it's like, do you really need to follow up on any of these things? Really? If you think about it, like you really don't have to. This one I really do like. Please do. This weird ass show. I'm already going 40 minutes. Shit. I wanted it to be shorter. This season is good. This show is good. It's really, really good. I'm trying to think if I would say it's like one of my top favorites. I don't think I would put it up there. I don't think I would, but I definitely would. I'd put this as an experience. Like, this is an experience you kind of gotta. Oh, you don't got to, but you know what I mean. It's a show where you definitely go watch if you want a good time. It's fun. It's imaginative. It's stupid, but it's freaking great. I will say, I was drawn into the war thing, and also I really liked even the image of like the Nowhere's King's forces, like the Minotaurs readying for fight, and then you see the giant kaiju of the Nowhere King floating overhead, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that is cool. Like, out of everything that happened out of the final season of Game of Thrones, one thing I really liked was like the idea of like the army attacking, and then you having like the dragons flying in overhead, shooting fire down, and then like think of them as different battle units and stuff like that. I'm like, that's actually a really cool idea. And like, or in this case, like it's like the Nowhere King's like the patron of the Minotaurs and stuff like that. I'm like, that's really freaking cool. Ooh, make a roleplay system for Centaur World. That'd be kind of badass. I could probably do something. But anyways, Avatar got it. Like, this show would definitely. This is a show that I feel like you could put 1,000 different stories in here, and like have some really cool stories. You can have serious ones, crazy ones. I used to say back in the day, I love a good story that can have giant robots versus giant magical creatures. Like, and I feel like this is a show that can kind of get away with something like that. Though we haven't seen any technology really, but well, we definitely did with the key. But go watch this show. It's so damn good. I really love this season. Again, towards the end, I was like, no, no, stop it. I'm like, no, this is not happening. You are not doing this to me. No, you're not doing this to. No. I want a Rider toy also. Centaur World, if you want to get on that, make action figures, just of Rider. I just want Rider. I just want Rider because Rider is a badass and I love her. Honestly, I would, if I ever try, like, I want to do. I've said before, like I want to get Lou's hoodie and stuff like that. But I really like if there was ever like a cosplay I actually really wanted to make, it probably would be Riders. But yeah, the show is awesome. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I've already talked way too long. Go see this. Go watch it. It's on Netflix right now. It's freaking great. I love this show. It's colorful. It's imaginative. It's dark. It's scary. It's gritty. It is a balance between the two. There's a point where a big thing got happens between the main three people that this reason's for. It's like the general, the Nowhere King, and the princess. And the princess goes, you locked him away for however many years. Did you think it would have no effect? And the general goes, but yeah, but look at him. And the Nowhere King goes, what? like he's like offended, like what the hell? And I really love his story. I really do love the Nowhere King story and like the design when he turns to a monster. It's so great. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching your videos I've done. Links are on Facebook and Instagram. Share videos. Hopefully enjoy this. It's so damn good, and we will see you later. But yeah, go watch it. It's so freaking great.